Good afternoon, one and all. I'm Padmaja, Assistant Professor, Department of Mathematics, Dayanand Sagar Engineering College, Bengaluru. Welcome all for this third session of second day Atal FTP on Computational Mathematics and Artificial Intelligence for Engineers. Now, I would like to introduce speaker of this session, Dr. Surajit Devnath. Dr. Devnath currently is the head Department of Medical Laboratory Technology, Women's Polytechnic, AICTE, Tripura, with more than 13 years of experience in biomedical research and high-level teaching. Dr. Devnath participated in various academic work in institutions of Germany, Denmark, and Hong Kong, besides in premier Indian labs such as AIIMS, Cytogenetics, IIT Kharagpur, Biotechnology, IIT Guwahati, Biomedical Engineering, NBPGR, Plant Genomics. Dr. Devnath is the recipient of Young Scientist Award from different agencies, DBT, DST, and CSIR. And he is recipient of Tata Trust Grant for CME, course in Royal College of Pathologists, London. Reviewer of several Scopus SIE indexed journals published by Elsevier, Springer, and Biome Central. Along with regular academics activities, he is also engaged with several biotechnology companies in northern and western India as a consultant. He has conducted various workshops and talks, acted as session chair in international conferences sponsored by national and international academic agencies. He delivered numerous invited talks in national and international academic gatherings. Currently, he is guiding a group of international students for their internship from Russia, Turkey, and West African countries. Dr. Devnath filed 2 patents in the year 2020-21 in India on biotechnology. Now I request Devnath sir, I welcome you sir, I request you to start your presentation sir. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. So I'll be starting it. In between, if some issues happens, please let me know, because this network and things are not very reliable these days. So
Sure,
madam, just let me know whether the screen is visible to you.
Sure, sir.
Screen is visible to you. Okay. The screen is visible now, right?
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Okay. Thank you. So I shall forward my coordinators of this session. I'm also acknowledge AICTE Atal for giving an interdisciplinary platform for various kinds of discussions like this, and the participants who already had a complete experience of many things related to computational mathematics. But I would say that my session will be rather focusing on the applications of these concepts in disciplines like biomedical sciences, engineering.
Hello, sir. Devnath, sir.
Hello.
Sir, your voice is fluctuating. Sir.
Hello.
Your voice is breaking, sir. Not clear.
Okay. So I would like to thank AICTE Atal for providing this interdisciplinary platform, and I'm also thankful to the organizers of the event, and I'm sure all the participants have already had a lot of discussion on classical mathematics and its role in computation, but my discussion will be mainly focused on applications of these concepts in biomedical discipline to solve problems that are related to biomedical discipline. For example, today, this session, I would like to talk on how these technologies will help to rapidly identify various kinds of cancers by applying various computational tools. The ultimate goal is to provide better patient care for the patients. And also it is very relevant for countries like India, where healthcare cost is very high. Despite of various efforts from different agencies, it is still very high. So is there a possibility to automate multiple parts of this whole exercise that is diagnosis a particular kind of disease. So if we can replace human intelligence by machine intelligence, it would rather become much more cheaper and also affordable. So madam, am I audible till now?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, fine. So we'll go ahead. So recently there has been a lot of debate to how exactly use artificial intelligence and machine learning. It has been seen that the field has developed rapidly, and there has been an interdisciplinary effort from various kinds of disciplines. I agree that basically the field has developed as a application of mathematical sciences and statistics and so on. But eventually what has happened is various disciplines and various people have come and contributed significantly. As you can see, there has been a rapid increase of number of patents as well as other intellectual properties that has been developed from artificial intelligence and machine learning aspects. And today it is also desperately needed that we do an interdisciplinary research so that multiple brains can come together and finally bring about some significant contribution to a particularly existing problems like healthcare. Recently, one more thing has been observed, that a lot of data has been generated by multiple disciplines. So one such a discipline has been biomedical discipline and medicine. So in medicine, now what we are doing is we are generating a lot of data in terms of various kinds of diagnosis, tests, and so on. I'm also very much sure that most of the participants are already aware of it, which kind of data we are generating in medical field. Let me give you an example of biopsy samples. So every day you'll be amazed to know basis many diagnoses are taken place. But there is a different aspect of it. The thing is, for doing a complete biopsy from a cancer sample and isolate the tissue and putting it under a microscope is a very tedious job, and it requires a significant amount of skill. And there is a continuous effort to automate the process, not only by robotic terms, by also by analytical terms. So is there an opportunity that we can automate the diagnosis thing and we can rely upon the machine intelligence for a complete error-free diagnosis? So that is also an issue today. And since there are huge volumes of data that is being generated, and therefore there is also a desperate need that we have sufficient data analytical tools which can handle a lot of big data and eventually find out the exact amount of we shall call it a knowledge discovery kind of thing, which can get automated, and eventually the process will become much more cheaper. So there is a constant effort that is going on. The main three there are three major types of data. One is from quantum mechanics background and biomedical discipline, that is genomic arrays and genomic sequences. I'm sure many of you are already aware of it, and these kind of data requires a lot of.
Devnath sir, sorry to interrupt you, sir. Sir, your voice is breaking. Can you check your internet?
So what exactly I was trying to say is that okay. What exactly we are trying to say is there are disciplines where a lot of data is being generated, and therefore we are also doing efforts so that to minimize the cost of analysis of all these data. So what exactly we are doing is in cancer diagnosis particularly, and I'll also like to have a little demonstration where I'll explain that how cancer diagnosis has been automated recently by means of a very simple tools. In this regard, may I request our coordinator to please play the first video, madam, which will give you give the participants a view that what exactly happens during cancer diagnosis.
Okay,
Madam, am I audible?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. I will play. I'll share.
Please play the video in mute condition, madam.
Mute condition.
It was just right, madam.
Okay, sir.
It's an effort to make the session a bit engaging, because the
Okay, okay.
post lunch sessions.
Okay, sir. Now
are
I will
still in-
share, sir. Your shares.
Right,
You go.
right. I'm closing it. Yes.
Okay.
The effort is done in order to visualize the whole aspect and how difficult task is there in diagnosis. This is, I think, not the video, madam. First
1 minute, sir. 1 minute. Cancer.
is this one. Right. Right. Absolutely right. So what exactly happens? This is a biopsy sample. Okay. Now this is the tissue which has developed into a tumor, and from that tissue, a small sample will be taken and put it under a microscope by processing it. Now this is a glass slide on which the whole thing is made, and then it is made into a stain, and after that it is observed manually. You can see there is no automation here. So one person will observe the tissue. Okay. Now inside the tissue there are multiple other things. For example, these are different informations which are present in the form of DNA inside the tissue. So as you can understand, it is very tedious to operate one person, then take a sample, then make it into a slide to observe under a microscope. The whole process is very difficult. So there is no doubt that we can mechanically automate it, but the one major aspect is the analysis. So today what is happening is two kinds of analysis are getting developed. Okay, one kind of analysis only looks for the images, so we call it image informatics. So in that, what happens is the different biopsy samples are being monitored in such a way that one can understand that what are the structural changes of the of the tissue. One more aspect is the genomic aspect. So in genomic aspect, what happens is there are some sequences that is native to a cancerous cell. So what exactly happens is, if this kind of sequences are there in the DNA, then it is also prone to cancer. So there are two aspects. One, a structural aspect. Another is a molecular level aspect. So many computational intelligence tools are trying to, okay, madam, unshare now. So what happens is today many tools are trying to, where people are trying to collaborate between different groups of individuals. For example, somebody who is very good at taking the biopsy samples is collaborating with a computer scientist so that he can classify his images that he has taken from the biopsy and try to develop a method to automatically identify which tissue is cancerous and which tissue is non-cancerous. Okay, so this is one aspect. So what is the other aspect? Other aspect is the molecular aspect of it. Now, for that, we require the sequencing technologies through which the whole DNA sequence that is present inside the human body will be analyzed. So, okay. So just give me a moment. Okay. Now, this is the thing that conventional people will do, the bottom one. In bottom one, what we'll do, we'll do some kind of imaging techniques in order to find out whether there is a cancer or not. Okay. So what are the conventional imaging techniques? Sonography, X-ray, MRI, CT scan, and all such things. So all these kinds of image data also produces huge database. Okay. So we can use this database to make it into an array of digits and then classify each of the images as a good image and bad image, like normal image and cancerous image, isn't it? That we can do. But many a times what has happened, there has been some cases of errors. Okay. So, so it has been constantly seen that only image informatics cannot do the whole thing all by itself. Okay. So you can also understand, for example, there is a XY curve where X is somehow related to Y through a kind of equation. So you are having some data points, you are joining all these data points, and eventually you are getting into a equation. So many a times it may happen that if you, for example, you are exploring the magnitude of X,
on the basis of the Y, that is already you are having a data of Y, and on that basis you are exploring X. So many a times it may happen that you are getting a result which is not very practical. So it may happen that the number of days a patient will survive in terms of, for example, you are doing an XY analysis in which in one column you are adding the number of days a patient is surviving. On Y column you are putting the size of the tumor, okay, in grams or in millimeters. In terms of the dimension of the tumor. So ultimately you get an equation, but many times you see that although the tumor spread is not very high, but you could not save the patient. Understood. So for example, it explored that if the tumor size is within 20 millimeter, the patient will still survive 3 years for a particular kind of brain cancer kind of. But many times you will see that that particular equation is no longer this thing valid. Why? Because there are some inherent other complications which are already there in the person, and therefore the person is not obeying the rules. Okay, so in that case, what is the reason? So everybody tried to do some kind of brainstorming, and then they eventually found that one more aspect, that is the genomic or the molecular level aspect, that is to be introduced. So what has happened? This kind of technology has developed over the years. I'm sure you are already having the information about all this. So according to the study, it has also been seen that among most of the other algorithms that has been developed over the years, artificial neural network gives a substantial efficacy in diagnosis of cancer. Okay, so these are documented proofs. So it has also prompted a lot of us to explore on artificial strategy for classification of image data, which image is cancerous image and which is from this thing a normal person. Many a times there are certain limitations of this kind of technology. So I'll come to that thing also. So this is not completely error free, but in medical diagnosis it should be error free, because it's a life and death situation. On the basis of your diagnosis, a person will undergo chemo or the person will undergo surgery. So in that case, you cannot make like fuzzy assumptions. So it is zero advance. In that case, madam, I'm audible, right? Okay.
Yes, yes, sir.
Now, this is a celebrated case which has been in news in biomedical fraternity, where a group of scientists have with much methodology using a convolutional neural network to establish a network which will assumption how long a patient will survive on the basis of the tumor size and the biopsy this patient. So what they did is they generated a very strong network of data with which is supported which has established a network which can even okay. I'm very sorry. So what groups?
Devnath, sir. Again, voice is breaking, sir.
I'll again give it a try. I not disconnect, because once I disconnect, it may go abruptly wrong. I'll try to continue. So
You continue, sir.
that is right. So what exactly happened? I'll just come to that point. Okay. So in that case, what they have done is they have classically identified how long a patient will survive on the basis of the strategy they have developed, which is mainly in terms of neural network technologies. So here they have found out that the network is very, very sensitive
But later on, they contributed one more aspect, that is genomic aspect. I'll come to that. So in that artificial neural network, what exactly happens is there is a hidden layer of previous informations, that is the experience. So machine learning is not very difficult from, not very different from human learning. The concepts remain same. On the basis of your prior experience, you take some decisions. So it is also the same. But here there is a quantitative approach to it, on the basis of the probability of occurrence of certain events. They'll give you a prediction. So as I have said that many a times, it is not error free, but despite of this, there are significant improvements which can now classify images with a very stringent what they call sensitivity. So if we put it in a simpler terms, for example, these are the training sets to find out a digit which is 8. So what will happen is the training set has been the network has trained itself to find out the digit 8. But there are similarities between multiple digits. For example, digit 8 is approximately similar to digit 0, digit 6, and so on, in many terms. So it may happen that it wrongly identifies certain digits. So this is a disadvantage. But the advantage is most of the time it remains correct. For example, the idea of the digit is very correct, although many times with certainty the network cannot able to differentiate. So there are other ways to handle this particular problem. So what is the way out? Way out is to incorporate the genomic information. Okay, so image information as well as the molecular level information will give us very good results in terms of cancer diagnosis. So in the next slide, it is very clear. Okay, now these are some benefits and limitations of neural network technologies. Although this has been proven very good in many aspects, but there are certain limitations, as I have already said. But what happens is the benefits are more significant than that of the limitations, and therefore multiple group of scientists are using this kind of technology regularly for their predictions. So we will also today we'll see a little hands-on, through which we will try to see how these networks help to determine certain kinds of diseases. Okay, so now this is the data where these same group of scientists have seen that if they combine two aspects, one is the image processing by neural network, and second is the information of the genes. Okay, so I'll give you a little this thing, although the classical mathematicians may find it a little this thing to understand. So what exactly happens is all cancers are on the in some or other way are related to the genes that are there inside the human body. So let me give you an example. For example, it may happen that a person will get a particular kind of cancer at the age of 50, and it is predetermined and it is already written in the genes. Okay, so if a person is having certain kind of mutation in his gene, at any point of time the cancer will definitely predispose, or it will manifest. So what exactly happens is if the biopsy sample is also indicating towards a cancer, and the genomic sample is also indicating towards a mutation, so what will happen? With certainty you can diagnose a particular event, whether a patient will survive or chemotherapy will be helpful. So this is a whole exercise of something called precision medicine or customized medicine. So what will happen? The number of days a patient will survive will significantly extend if we can determine in very early if the patient is going to have certain kind of exposures to this kind of diseases. So I'm sure many of you are already working towards this kind of prediction technology, although I am not exploring all these technologies in much more detail. So this is one more technology that is being also used in cancer diagnosis, the concept of decision tree. So it is also a kind of simple concept which can give very good results in terms of patient care. not for the diagnosis, but for the kind of treatment the patient will get. Okay, the diagnosis will be done by genomics and the artificial neural network later on. Which kind of therapy you will use for this patient can be determined by decision tree algorithms. So there are very celebrated tools and technologies, which are many of them are free of cost for academic use, and some technologies are costly, and some persons have to purchase those technologies. Many a times these technologies comes inbuilt with the device. For example, you are purchasing an MRI device from Siemens. So Siemens will provide you the technology how to classify your images. So if you do not have a highly skilled technician, your computer can do this part. It may not replace the need of a medical person, but it will definitely increase the rapidity. So again, the voice is not clear. The voice is not clear. I'm very. Hello. The voice is not clear.
Carry on, sir. It's clear.
Okay, okay. So, so this is the strategy through which a very simple strategy of decision, not giving the elaborate examples where a decision tree will be helpful to determine which kind of that if in a patient a lump is detected by self-examination. So what is the options? There are two options. If a lump is detected and the answer is yes, then the person should undergo a mammogram. Mammogram is in an imaging technology, and if the self-examination on the surface of the body, then the patient should avoid having a mammogram. And if the mammogram is particularly with normal range, then the patient should undergo biopsy. Okay. Now, if the biopsy samples are within normal range, it can happen that it's a localized disease which can be operated free of cancer. There are two kinds of cancers most you already know. One is a localized which can operate and get easily. But one more type of cancer that is very dangerous, which is malignant. You cannot operate. Instead, you should depend.
I'm very sorry for this thing. I don't know why this thing is happening repeatedly. Things are okay. Okay, so this we wanted to tell you
That how these hidden Markov model and decision tree technologies will help you to determine certain kind of therapy that is needed for a particular kind of cancer. The overall objective is to personalize medicine so that the outcome of a particular kind of therapy is very good. So that is the ultimate what do you call shall I say objective of the whole exercise. Okay. Genomics and these are already there, which indicates that there are certain technologies which will generate a lot of data in terms of genomic sequence. So in human beings, genomic sequence is a lot of data that is generated by wet lab technologies. So when I tell you wet lab technologies is far away from mathematics, but it is relevant in today's case. Because the COVID was there and so many other things are rapidly engaged. when we do whole genome sequencing, a lot of data is being produced. So all
Vijit,
the
sir?
data is not needed by
Vijit,
us.
sir? Sorry to interrupt
madam.
you, sir. Sir, your voice is again breaking, sir. Please check the internet, sir.
I check-
Madam. Through
Sir, not clear, sir, still.
Okay.
Devnath, sir?
I'm sorry for the interruptions. Okay.
So now is on. So,
Madam, let me share.
yeah,
My
sir.
screen. Okay.
This is the idea that from genomes, genome data is a huge amount of data, and there is huge scope for the mathematicians to design algorithms and strategies to get rid of the huge data and to find out the exact location of the mutation. So if we can find out the exact location of the mutation, eventually what we
Devnath,
can do
sir?
is we can hello.
Yeah, your voice is audible, sir. Nice. And your screen is not visible, sir.
Yes. I have not shared it.
Yes, I'll be sharing.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Still it is showing that the host can share.
1 minute,
Madam,
sir.
please give me some credentials.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, sir. Given, sir.
Okay.
Okay. So the idea is that to collaborate with mathematicians and computer scientists to devise some strategy to get rid of the unwanted data and to pinpoint a single area of the whole genome where exactly the mutation is. So if we can find out the mutation and we are also backed with the image data, that is either from biopsy or from sonography, even from a CT scan, we can definitely able to
Devnath, sir?
find out a strategy. Yes,
Sorry to
madam.
interrupt, sir, once again.
Madam.
Sharing is not done, sir. You please, sir.
Yes, not done. I'm just continuing and I'll just share.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So what exactly happens is this is the idea of the whole exercise.
And this particular outreach also can come there and think about it. So in we are having some many limitations in our lab, which is placed in not in the mainland. That is also a term like a rural part of India. Despite of that, we find, because cancer cases are not less. It is not that if you are staying in a metro city, the cancer cases are less. So here also we are having 2 regional institutes of cancer where the number of patients is not less. Whether on the contrary, a lot of people are getting infected by this particular thing. But till now, we have not yet completely underwent a full scale this thing, so that automate the whole process of diagnosis. So in my area, which is a distant part, we are completely many a times dependent on the very good high-end that is present in the South India or in the NCR region. So we are having a lot of difficulties. So if to automate some parts and to use the recent technologies that you are already aware of, that is the cloud technologies and so on. So what will happen? Many advantages will be there for rural regions like I belong to. So here we are trying to establish a genomic facility where we are able to do genomic sequencing, but not the complete genome. That do some diagnosis. Okay, so within very limited scope to resolve the immediately, but the whole genome sequencing can explore those opportunities also. Once the whole genome is there in front of your eyes, you're definitely able to find out whether a particular gene is mutation. So this terminology is very, very common these days due to the mutations of the COVID. The similar thing also happens in the mutation. What is the rule? The rule that every cell should divide in a particular fashion, not in a cancerous way. So once the rule is broken, what happens is the cell division becomes uncontrolled. So in order to find out that only, everybody is doing so much of brainstorming in biomedical fraternity, even in computer science. So this is the database which will give you the access to the big data that we are talking about. That is the human genome sequence. Okay, so there was a consortium where multiple different labs in Europe and other parts of the world, including India, Japan, and many other countries. So what we have done is during the 1990s, we have found out the human genome. Okay? We have completely decoded the whole genome, but we have decoded it reference genome, not for everybody in the world who are present today, not for all the patients who are there. So we have found out the reference genome of human who's having no flaws. So that data is there in the database. Okay. Now the challenge is to compare that data with the patient's data. What are each and every patient should also through the complete human genome. Understood? So if not a part of the genome, then only our diagnosis will be completely errorless. Otherwise, आप देखते हैं, you have already seen cases like where the doctor is a particular stage and no chemotherapy, no radiotherapy can do any help, isn't it? There are some specific cases of childhood cancer. We cannot make a child survive because you have diagnosed it little later. Once the cycle has started, it's a kind of cascade reaction. Isn't it? The cascade reaction is some kind of reaction. I shall, if I'm still audible. So in our college days, we used to do is we used to put cycle one after the no. So in the first cycle, if we drop it, bicycle I'm talking about, like there are 10 bicycles which are standing nearby one by one. So in the first bicycle, you put this thing, that means you drop it, and the whole chain of restart. It will stop the which is bound to a ghanti, and the ghanti will ring and everybody will come out of the school. So it is kind of this kind of chain reaction. Once initiated, there is no stopping. And if you cannot detect the speech beforehand, you cannot do much help to the patient. So in order to do so, what we can do is we can have the image informatics as well as the genomics, and by comparing, this comparison also needs a very good computational tools. Many such tools are already there, and many still are needed to be developed. So we'll have a glimpse of the human genome data by one small simulation that we have already shared with the coordinator, madam. Not now, a little later. So this is how it looks like. The whole human genome has been placed into 24 different fragments, like a fragment of your hard disk, and it has been kept in a NIH facility, National Institute of Health, which is the largest sponsor of health-related research, which is present in Maryland, USA. So what happens is you can access that data at a real-time basis, that also for free. So there are this particular resource is free for everybody. Now later on during the 2000s, many other animals data has also been deposited in the database. So it is, as I have said, it's a collaborative network of scientists who find out the genomic sequence and then deposit there after certain curation of the data, because there are so much of noise there. These noises should be eliminated and a final version of the genome sequence is deposited there, which again undergoes certain in-house refinement, and finally a complete database is being built. Okay, so this is a part of the whole genome of human. Now this is called BRCA. So BRCA is nothing but breast cancer antigen gene or the sequence. So what happens is if any kind of mutation takes place in this particular DNA, then it results into breast cancer. Okay, so what happens is, if you are having a patient who is having some kind of lump in the breast tissue, which is being shown in the mammogram. Now mammogram will give you an idea what is the size of the lump. If the lump is within certain limit, so you will go for a biopsy. So there is one more problem with the biopsy, because biopsy itself is intervention. So you have to open the tissue, cut it, and then put into a needle and collect some cells and tissue from the lump. So this whole exercise is also bit tricky, and many a times it may cause certain unwanted results. So instead of that, have an image of the breast tissue by this mammogram, and then you are also having the genomic sequence. You just need to give 2 ml of blood, and there should be a particular facility which genome sequence, and then you compare this genome sequence with the first one, you find out that whether there are some mutation or not. It is as simple as that, but it needs a certain amount of computation for the complete purpose, because it's a whole lot of data. So you can also do it manually, but it will take a very, very long time. So we shall see a little how it looks like if we do the computation by a toolbox. We shall, and that particular toolbox is also based on a certain kind of algorithm. So as I have said, the image processing will be done by ANN, that is artificial neural network, and the comparison will be done by another group of algorithm, which is called probabilistic classifier or naive Bayes algorithm, that you all know it. So it is a very celebrated method through which cancer diagnosis has become very, very rapid. That also for some parts of the whole exercise is also free. So there is no cost of this. But the sequencing needs to be done in the wet lab, which have certain costs. So this is the clinical outcome prediction pipeline that every lab is using. So in that you take certain kind of data, then polish the data according to your need, and then classify your data points, and eventually take certain medical decisions. Whether the biopsy is desperately needed, or the chemotherapy should be started, or there should be some oral medications, or there should be some surgery. Many such things are dependent on. Now this is a case of the breast cancer thing. So there are other cancers as well. But in our case, in this time, we will be using this particular example of breast cancer. So this is the toolbox. The methodology of the toolbox is this, where on the basis of some prior experience, you take certain decisions of the present. So what exactly this particular toolbox does is, this particular tool it does is it identifies certain data points on the preliminary or in the training set, that is an established database which has been generated over the year. Now that database can be a real-time accessible database where you can continuously update your database. So this particular technology, which has been, we are going to demonstrate in a small way. So that particular database is continuously monitoring and continuously updating. Therefore, the tendency of the result is also getting modified day by day. So it is getting smarter day by day, that particular technology we are talking about. So what exactly happens is, on the basis of the prior experience as well as the likelihood, you are taking some decisions. Okay. And it is covering your that will take your decisions. So in this particular toolbox works. Now this particular toolbox is also free, and any biomedical scientist, anybody can use this toolbox to find out the okay. So we will do a dry run where we'll take a in an ideal situation, you would be then you should use this particular toolbox. So, okay. Now this is how the result will look like. The result will look like this, which will give you a little probability only, not a particular assumption. It will give you a probability on the probability, the sensitivity of the results. Now, sensitivity of the results will also be help to take a unarmed or informed decision whether the person will have the cancer or not. Okay. So this is the benefits of the algorithm, that it's completely a statistical tool, easy to understand also, and training instances has no effect on the training. As I have said, if there is since it is a continuously updating data, so since your information has just now added, it will not influence the result. So your result can be new, but it is it do not have any this thing influence. But there are some limitations also. Okay.
Sorry. Okay.
There are some limitations also. What is the limitation? Limitation is that assumptions are normal distribution or numeric. Madam, sir, I'm this thing. Okay. So
We are not able to hear, sir.
so that I'll continue. So these are the limitations, that assumptions are attributes independent, and that also that many a times you will end up with some redundant attributes also, which will mislead. But many a times, as I have said, that the benefits are far more better than the limitations. And by coupling with one or two more technologies, so it is also a regular practice in machines. I'm sure that also do this. So if one model is not following your assumptions or giving some abrupt result, you write one part of the code and you use the same data on a different kind of algorithm, and you try to see whether there are some kind of consensus. Okay, so once the consensus has been built, for example, from genome as well as from image, isn't it? So it gives you better opportunity to come in conclusion with the particular kind of result. After that, okay. So in our lab we are using these tools technologies for printing some cases of problems which are mainly related to mutation. So, we have used our technologies to find out some study on some mutations that has been isolated. Discuss it. Time permits.
eventually we found out that a single platform is not there, and therefore we have collaborated with some of our colleagues to find out a strategy to automate some parts of mutant detection, so that not only cancer, some other diseases can be predicted. So there are some other cases also where mutant is causing disease. So in those cases, there are no platforms directly, but free platforms are very, very cost. So we also looking forward to monetize this.
Madam, we will do the little hands-on now, if things are okay. Coordinator, madam, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Madam, I'll request you to please click the first link, that is simulation 1, and also share with our participants. If they like, they can also do the little hands-on, so
Okay,
that they'll able to understand that how this software is working.
Okay.
Yes.
sir.
Yes. So we tried to, in this session, I tried to show that how biologists are using computational tools. By these are established tools, but the discussion has been with biologists because it's a biological problem, and the data has also been contributed by the biologist, but the code has been written by scientists like you, mathematicians and all. So there is also a desperate need that collaborative efforts are being made. I am very much sure that in classical mathematics, you are contributing significantly, but there is also a need that you venture into collaborative efforts where, because every day we in our lab, we generate a lot of data, image data, then ECG, EEG. So there are computer platforms which can many times it has been seen that many platforms are costly, and there is also an ample opportunity to generate a lot of intellectual property by collaborative efforts. So this is also very important. Madam, the simulation 1. Not this one, madam. Right. Absolutely fine. Yes. And madam, you please also click on it and share in your, it is already opened, I have seen. Rest of the windows, madam, please switch off. Yes. Madam, if you click switch off the YouTube links, YouTube window, then these are the 3 windows we are talking about. Right. I think my screen is not moving, is it? Coordinator, madam.
Yes, sir.
My screen is not moving, it seems. What is there on the screen, madam?
I am sharing the screen, sir.
Yes, I can see it, but which I think
Simulation
it
1,
is
I
stuck.
clicked, sir.
Okay. So it is open, no, inside in the screen.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think it is not coming for me. I'll just take 1 more minute, and then
1 minute, sir. We will share it again.
Madam, it will be great. Simulation one only, madam.
Now it is, yeah, sir. Sir, now it is visible, sir.
No. It may be wrong something from my end, but still, it is loading, madam. It is loading. Thank you, madam. It is opened.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So this whole genome sequence, not of human being, because what will happen in human being, no, it will be a long thing and it will take a lot of time to load. So we have opened here a whole genome sequence of a bacteria, which is like 1 million times smaller than human being. Now, this is the whole, the codes of the whole genome of this bacteria. So we will not use it, rather we will use a small part of human genome, not the whole part. Because if we open the whole part, so it is once again be difficult to search the particular location. So we have already counted it for you, and now we will directly enter into the specific breast cancer causing gene. Okay, so madam has already opened the second window. Madam, okay, now this just for demonstration that how it looks. These are HTML codes which has been written to understand, and these are unique codes which has been written to understand what is the genome sequence of this bacteria. So like this, this is also a reference genome, not a mutated one. So for this particular bacteria also comparative task, if some mathematician want, they can do. For example, one mathematician has a collaboration with a biomedical lab who sequence the bacteria genome. So the mathematician can write a program how to in small amount of time by using multiple CPUs or a single CPU only to how to minimize the time to compare a whole genome between the reference genome and the genome which has been identified in like say in near college of yours, that is Dayanand Sagar College in Bangalore, or some like Alsur Lake in Bangalore, the famous one. So in Alsur Lake also this particular bacteria is there, but its whole characters will be different because it has been staying in that lake for a very prolonged period of time, no? So there will be some small signatures, genomic signatures that is only specific to this particular region. So it is this kind of work is going on, but there are more tasks are still needed to be done. Okay. So in the second window, madam, please open the second link. If you open, yes, the second simulation, yes. So this is the madam had already opened it previously. This is the BRCA gene. Okay? BRCA means what? This is the genome which causes cancer of the breast. Okay, in male and female both. So this is the reference genome. That means without any alteration. Okay, madam. So we'll do a little washing of the data. Yes, right. So, madam, what we'll do is so much of information is there. No, we'll remove all this. Okay, we'll remove and make it into more usable form. Madam, please click on the FASTA. See, one FASTA is there. Yeah, you please click on this. Great. So the format has been changed, and now it is a more usable form. So what we'll do is we'll do an analysis to see what will happen if there is a mutation, whether it will cause a cancer or not. Madam, quickly we'll go to the third simulation link. You had already opened it, but I'm sorry, I have told you to do it all over again. Now this is the toolbox which has been developed by Harvard University. So what we'll do is we'll simulate a thing which will be reflecting a case of mutation in another person. So madam, we'll go to the next window, BRCA window, previous one. Yeah, we'll copy the whole genome from the greater than sign. From the greater than sign. Yes. Okay. Copy it, madam. Control P or Control C. Copy. Then paste it in the window, madam. Okay, great. In this window. Yeah. Second one. Yeah. Paste it. Okay, great. Now what has happened? We have pasted in the window, that is we have given the instruction and we'll simulate a mutation now. What mutation we'll do is there is a string of array. As you can see, L, T, K, D, R, W, M. Can you see? These are all the sequences of the genes. So what we'll do is we'll change the 6th amino acid. Madam, you in the second window, that is a position window. In the position window, there is a box, small box in the right side. Can you see? Here you write digit 6. Okay. Now the 6th amino acid is methionine, as I can see. If you see from the LTK, no, the 6th digit is M. So we'll select M. Madam, AA1, in AA1 window, yeah, you put M. Yeah, please click on this. Great. And we'll mutate it by a different kind of residue. Now this is called a mutation. This mutation takes a lot of time to develop, but we are simulating it just by clicks on the computer. So madam, put it on the D. In the next line, there is a D. Okay, please click on it. So we have done a mutation. We have replaced M with a D. And this is a true story. I'll tell you the story a bit later. Then madam, submit the query. Submit the query, please. Yeah. So what has happened? We are all aware of a very famous person, Angelina Jolie. She has a history of breast cancer. Her maternal aunt, her mother has also succumbed to death. So what is done is she did her whole genome sequencing, and there was a mutation on the 6th amino acid. So that was the mutation of hers. Okay, now you'll see what will happen. So we have entered into the great computation network where we are using the computational resources of Harvard University by sitting at our home. So madam, we will put on the refresh button. So there is the computation is going on. The result has come out. Now this result is dependent on the database, which is continuously being monitored and being updated every day by many scientists. Okay, who are looking for these genomic sequences, genomic mutation, not only in BRCA, but a whole lot of genes, which causes different kinds of cancer. Madam, we'll go to the result window now. A blue color view you can see. You can see blue color view. Under the result, there is a view button. वो view button में on कर दीजिए, madam. Under the result, okay, great. So this is the result. See, so this is the result of this mutation. If the mutation takes place by comparison with the reference genome on the basis of prior experience of a huge database that is called WH. You can see WHESS.db. If you click on that, you will enter into a database of cancers, all cancers that has been identified till today, and who have deposited the sequence to this particular database. The information is there. On the basis of the whole data, it has been calculated that on BRCA gene, on this particular gene, if there is a mutation on the 6th amino acid, it will lead to a cancer. Understood. So the whole exercise has been done by the mathematicians, but it is being used by most of the time by biomedical scientists like us. Within our small limits, we are also trying to explore these opportunities, and I'm very much sure many of you will also explore this thing of biomedical sciences and this thing with specific collaborations. By saying so, I would like to conclude, and if there are some specific queries, I'll definitely like to answer them if I can. I am thankful to the coordinator, madam, also for doing this whole exercise very rapidly for us. I'm worried whether the connection also get lost once if we are not complete. So I hope that participants can also use these tools to understand what exactly happens during cancer. So if there are some queries from some participant.
I think there was a lot of voice breaking in between. So
yes, madam. I'm very much sorry for that.
No, that's okay. I think participants, maybe they would have lost the, the track of the flow of the talk, maybe. So if they have some queries, they will definitely, I'm sure they'll come back to us. So if you have anything else to suggest, what I would say is, sir, if there is any input which you can give to the mathematicians, because their application field is very nice, but if you can just brief about what a mathematician has to know, if they, because obviously we also look for the interdisciplinary research. But to do this kind of research, what kind of background we must have, and whether
Okay.
we should, if we want to enter into biomedical field as an application
Yes, madam.
field for our research,
Yes,
can we do some kind of no, can we take up some NPTEL course or some online course to understand or
great.
identify a
Okay,
particular field, so
I
that
understand.
it becomes no easy? If you can guide on that, what course they should take, because I'm sure there are many people here who are planning to look for their research topic, and this seems
Sure.
to be a very promising topic. So if you
Okay.
can enlighten us on that, I think that will
Right.
really help us.
Right, madam. Right. So that is also the objective. As I have said, that there are in our lab, although right now sequencing is not done in a very big way in our area, we are also dependent on central institutes of various regions. But what we are doing is we are generating a lot of data on, shall I say, ECG and EEG, and that also some other data related to some health characteristics. So statistical tools are already there, but we can what we can do is we can collaborate with mathematicians and for identifying some strategy which we may not be aware of. There may be something, but we do not know. For example, I give you one this thing, madam. Recently, we found that there are huge amount of data that we have generated, which is somehow correlating age of a patient and its body weight of a patient to certain exposure to certain infections. So is there a strategy that all these multiple attributes can be connected, and then we can devise a strategy by finding out the body mass index of a patient, we can say that this person is exposed to this kind of infections or not. Although it will take a lot of effort, but I'm sure with specific courses on NPTEL on biomedical engineering or data analysis, and you call it machine intelligence and data science, this kind of courses is very much in demand. But these demand is mainly coming from business groups. For example, somebody want to automate the process to predict which share will go up. So for that there is a demand. But for cases like us that we deal on, we are dealing with to predict some way by a single blood test. Can we predict that whether the patient will have some cardiac arrest or not?
Okay.
So this kind of thing are not looking forward. When data science is there, but it is only applying on certain areas in finance and this kind of thing.
So basically, what I understand is that you are speaking about the predictive analysis, right?
They are
predictive statistics. So actually, as you said, we are also working on some of the areas regarding, like, for example, COVID itself. No, so some of my research scholars are working on this.
Madam.
See, many times we deal with this problem that when we try to collect the data, we don't get the data, especially medical data. So since you are saying that there are you generate lot of data, actually we can do a very good regression models actually for this data for the predictive analysis. Okay, so I think this is a very good window for young researchers here in this portal. See, if somebody is looking for a research topic, I think they can definitely get in touch with you and see in mathematics what they can contribute, and from biology science, like what you can contribute. And I think put together we can definitely do something good here, because we are already working on one or two such type of problems. So even like including me, I'm also, my research scholars are also looking for the medicinal data or biomedical data. So definitely I'm going to get in touch with you, but I also suggest the people here, because many times you don't, even if you want, you don't get the data. That is the biggest
right,
problem
right,
with the medical sciences, because there are some ethical issues, and then they have their own limitations. So they don't.
Okay.
This
Madam,
is one.
here I can,
Huh.
Madam, here I can interrupt you because recently we have signed MOU with 3 major medical institutes. So,
Okay.
madam, if you feel like that some kind of medical data, for example, CT scans, X-rays, or
Yeah.
I don't know which kind of data you are looking for. For
Huh.
example, like temperature data, blood pressure data, and
Oh,
anything
wonderful.
related to medical, if you want. So
Yeah.
we can provide you a lot of this. So, and
Definitely,
in an
sir.
official way, and that
Huh.
also in ethical way.
Yeah.
We may not able to provide you tissue samples, but I
Yeah,
do
no,
not
no,
think
no,
that
no, we don't require also that,
that
but
is right.
I
Okay.
think mainly we have to collaborate with you, because data is one thing, but finally when we do the modeling and when we draw the
That is your
inference,
part. I do
then
not know much of this.
but final end result we have to discuss with you, because validation of the
Right,
result is very
right.
important. So
Yes,
what we are
yes.
getting, whether it is acceptable by the society and by
That
the
is
medical
also
field or not, is also
Mhm.
equally important. So
That is absolutely
interaction with the experts like you is very, very
Mhm.
important.
okay.
So,
Okay.
so
Right,
this
madam.
is
You are absolutely
one
right.
area I feel is that regression, people can look at regression models, especially in biomedical field. Another
Yes,
one
yes.
what I suggest is time series analysis.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, madam. Time series also, these
Huh.
business people are doing in a big way.
Yeah.
They are trying to find out what is going on in the market,
Huh,
and they
huh.
are doing this time series rapidly and randomly. They are using it very big way, but we
Huh.
are not using time series. For example, prediction of rain, when rain will come or not, what
Yeah.
is the
Rainfall. Yeah.
sequentiality of the rain, whether
No,
there
no,
is
but
some
what
kind of
I suggest,
seasonality.
yeah, for your
Seasonality is
field,
there
I
or not?
feel, sir, that time series also, because looking at the patient's history, genetic history,
That is
I
right.
think that generations if
Yes,
we take,
madam.
and then look at
Yes.
the parameters, probably I think time series also will
Right,
be a
right.
new area in which people can
Yes,
look for
madam.
the
Yes, madam.
research.
Right,
Okay,
madam.
so
Right. And
I
I'll
think,
also request your
yeah.
fraternity to please look onto these problems, only not to look onto the market only, because everybody is
Exactly.
working on the market
Yeah.
to time it, how to get more benefit. That is
Yeah.
right. There is no
Yeah.
doubt in that, but
Right.
it is also needed.
Yeah.
It is done by some group of people, not in a big way. Like
Yeah.
many people, if collaborate, no, so what will happen?
Yeah.
There will be ecosystem.
Correct.
And there will be constant generation of intellectual property in the form of research papers, patents, and so on. So there will be a
Yes.
whole lot of things that is yet to be done.
Right, right.
Most of the softwares are not free. If you search in the Google, madam, you will see that these are a very huge cost. On biomedical data analysis is a very huge cost is
Yes,
there.
yes. I understand
So,
that. Yeah.
yes.
So I
if we
think,
can contribute in this way.
yeah,
that will be-
definitely, sir. I will definitely revert back to you for this kind of data and analysis. And
Right,
with your expertise, if we can come up with something.
Definitely, madam. It will be great for us. Yes,
So
madam.
that will definitely do. So anyone else
Absolutely.
has any queries? Anybody wants to know anything else about this field, which I feel is a very promising field actually.
Yes, yes.
Mm. Sir, one more thing, since you just now said that you have signed MOU with the 3
Yes, institutes
medical
of our
institutes.
region only. Our region
Acha,
only.
your region
But
only. No,
yes,
no problem.
we will get data of biopsies. We will
Okay.
get the basic parameter data, that is the vital statistics data. And
Okay.
whenever a patient comes, 24 hours his ECG is being monitored, oxygen concentration. Very basic, but these data are officially ours.
Okay.
Whenever we want, for example, we can get those data officially without any ethical restrictions and so on. And we can eventually use this for producing some kind of solution in the form of research paper also.
Okay.
We just need to acknowledge that we have get it from this
Yes,
particular
yes,
medical college.
of course,
and
of
so on.
course. That is
That you can also do. That
Huh.
you can also do from your end in Bangalore also. You can definitely collaborate. But what happens is to make it streamlined. No, it takes a lot of time. You will
Correct.
speak, then put the papers. It will come to the ethical committee. There will be 10 different things. It's a whole lot of exercise. So once this move is done, then there is a streamline method, and we can definitely acquire a lot of data and put it to you so that you can model those things
using your
Yes.
tools, MATLABs and things like that. And
Sure.
eventually we can produce some very good amount of insight, not
Hmm.
discovery. Insight is also very important.
Yeah, yeah,
All on
yeah.
a sudden, if you discover something, it is not also very healthy.
Yeah.
If you do small steps also, this is also very
Yeah,
good.
that's one step at a time. I think will
That
take
is-
us a
that is the
long
thing.
way. And
Mhm.
sir, one more thing I would like to ask. See, at present now, the entire world is fighting with this corona.
Right.
And when we are studying this corona, like we
Mhm.
are actually looking for some data parameters, something like where the severity comes and after effects of corona. So we look at some
Mhm.
of the parameters, what affects them, why so
Mhm.
many casualties were there in the second wave. So
Mhm.
is there some kind of data available on corona also? With these institutes, WHO we are taking, but other than
Okay.
WHO, I'm asking, since you have MOU
The
with these
number of deaths, only this kind of quantity, that what is the number of death?
No, that
in
we
which
have
month, how
already.
many?
No, that we
Okay,
get
that
from
you have.
WHO for the
Okay,
entire
great.
world. Now I'm looking at the, now
Okay.
we want to do a deep analysis about the parameters. Suppose somebody
Okay.
had, a patient had some kind of comorbidities like
Okay, blood sugar,
hypertension, blood sugar.
hypertension.
So are they more
Okay,
prone
what
to
is the-
this or yeah,
Okay,
that
okay.
kind of parameters,
Yes,
that kind of
yes.
study we want to actually
Yes,
do.
yes. This kind of study and this kind of meta-analysis. So meta-analysis is one more thing that computational mathematics people can also look into. I'm very much sure you are already doing it, many of you. So you are asking for a kind of meta-analysis.
Data, yeah, I'm asking
meta-analytical-
whether any such data is available where
datas
for
are
corona
available.
patients, for corona
Yes,
patients.
Yes,
Yeah.
datas are available,
Okay.
but you will mostly get this kind of data in literature only.
Okay.
There is not an established database. I am not
okay.
aware of. It may
Okay.
be there, which houses all kinds of parameters together.
Okay.
But I do not think it is there. So we have to you have to find out the specific reports of various researchers of different regions. There are some bibliographic tools also
Okay.
which you can automate this process also. For example, you want from 2020 March to 2021 March, how many people died a comorbidity with COVID as well as blood pressure.
Yes, that kind of data.
How many
Yeah,
people you won't get, but you definitely get some reports. Reports
Okay.
means a paper published. Some
Okay.
paper published. In those paper published, you have to find out. One, it's a kind of literature review kind of thing, but ultimately you can generate some data which are also validated because somebody else has reported it. So there is no problem of this thing. For example, the number of deaths they have occurred, you are taking from WHO. So you are referring WHO. Now, in this case, for all these parameters, there may not be a single database, but there will be published reports which you can definitely download. And then one of your scholar can accumulate all the number of deaths and whatever the parameters and all such things in an Excel sheet. And later on, you can definitely have a
we can do some kind of
work on
study and see.
that particular study.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
but on a database point of view, I am not very sure whether it is there. But I'll request your scholars as well to find out in the internet if it is already there. It can be there, but I have not.
No, we have to
found
do
it.
our we have to
Yes,
do our
yes.
homework.
Yes,
We'll
yes.
do it, I think. So
But
there is
that's
a
a good idea.
question in the suggestion box. I think, sir, any suggestion for multivariate analysis?
Okay. No, multivariate analysis means something like Madam's only. For
Yeah,
example,
regression. Yeah.
Yes. So multivariate regression, if you are trying to do, there are very good tools already there. And as I can tell you, for example, in COVID, since Madam has taken this point, for example, you are having 20,000 patients data on their oxygen saturation. So on the date of the infection and starting of the antiviral therapy, in between, what was the oxygen concentration, average oxygen concentration of these patients. Then you see, once the therapy has started, now usually for COVID, there is a 5-day therapy of remdesivir, which was been approved previously before the vaccines. So 5 days remdesivir, what was the impact on oxygen concentration that you can study on the basis of multiple parameters, that how many dosage of remdesivir the patient has taken, what was his before infection, was there any comorbidity, as Madam has said. So all these data, if you download from published literature from PubMed is a database which will give you very authentic data, published literature. But many of the literature may not be free, so you have to have some internal adjustment. But you can definitely download this kind of data, oxygen saturation before and after the therapy. Then you can also talk about what is the amount of fibrosis that has taken place inside the lungs before and after the therapy. Okay, so and how long the patient has survived with this kind of oxygen saturation and this kind of lung fibrosis, which will be reflected by the CT scan. So this kind of multi-parameter data are there, but it is on the motivation of the researchers, that's which kind of data you will take. And for that, I think that if you go through published literatures in your domain, you will definitely get an idea. And one more thing is, if you can correlate with the genomic data. Okay, so there are certain other database which houses the genomic data of the patient. So I have shared with you the genomic data of a reference genome, not any individual, it's a reference genome. Okay, hypothetical individual who is having no flaws. Okay, but there are databases which is having flaws, no flaws, every kind of data. So that also we can share later time, and we can have a chat on genomics. But the medical data, as madam has said, I am not very sure. I think you have to explore the published literature and then make a database of your own. Then later on you can publish the database itself as a like intellectual property of yours. You can report that database, which can be harnessed by multiple different scientists, isn't it? So madam can definitely take a project to make a database of this particular thing and then publish it as a database itself. There is a journal called Database. In that you can submit the database. It may not be a computational database. It could be hardly an access file, which can be accessed by a HTML link, like the link we have shared now with the mail, madam. Like that link also you can share it, and you can even publish it. So if one of you can come with an idea to arrange an Excel sheet only on 100 different parameters, what you have to do, you have to download lot many papers that has been published, and then curate the data manually. You cannot automate it. You have to do it right away, because this kind of automation is not there. I do not think, which will find a particular kind of data from a whole lot of database is very difficult to achieve.
I think there are certain strategies to clean the data also. I think that is possible. Yeah, fine, we will have to look into it. Yeah.
Yes. In this way, you can definitely look into this kind of problems.
Yeah. And any other queries, any other questions for sir? So thank you very much. Actually, it was really nice interacting with you, and I too got a lot of inputs from you. I'm definitely going to revert back to you for the research in future.
Thanks a lot.
So thank you so much, sir. Look forward for your next session.
Sure, madam.
That's tomorrow, the next application.
Right.
So I request all the participants that you do some kind of homework and come for tomorrow's session, so that you can, I'm sure you can actually explore so many research topics for your research from this, and sir is there to help you all out. So I think
yes, it will be a great pleasure.
Yeah, getting this kind of help from a renowned researcher, it will be really motivation and good for us. So maybe you can think of something, have some kind of homework, and come back with some questions tomorrow, so that it is beneficial to all of you. Okay. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
I request Padmaja to conclude the session.
Thank you, Dr. Surjit Debnath sir, for your beautiful presentation. Now I request participants to fill up the feedback link which is given in the chat box. Thank you all.